It's a strange question to ask. Did the first humans have friends? It feels like asking if they had hands or feet. This friendship seems so basic to us now. It's part of what makes life worth living. But was it always there? Or is it a modern luxury, something that developed after we figured out farming in cities and had a bit of spare time? The short answer is yes. Almost certainly yes. The long answer is more complicated. It's a detective story with no witnesses. We have to piece it together from old bones, the behavior of our animal cousins, and the wiring of our own brains. There are no letters from a lonely Australopithecus, no cave paintings of two buddies on a hunting trip, arms slung around each other. The evidence is quiet, it's indirect, but when you put it all together, a picture starts to form. And that picture shows that friendship isn't new. It's one of the oldest, most important tools our ancestors ever developed. It was a matter of life and death. First, we need to be clear about what we mean by friend. A friend isn't just someone you cooperate with. A pack of wolves cooperates to hunt. That's not friendship. A friend isn't just family. You're stuck with your family. Your bond with them is based on blood and shared genes. Friendship is a choice. A friend is someone you are not related to, but you choose to form a strong, lasting emotional bond with. It's a bond of mutual support. I help you today, you help me tomorrow. It's built on trust and a sense of connection. That's the kind of relationship we're looking for in our deep past. Let's start with the hardest evidence we have. The fossils. Bones can't tell us about feelings, but they can tell us about behavior. And sometimes, behavior tells us about feelings. There are a number of fossils of early humans and our close relatives like Neanderthals that show something remarkable. They show individuals who were old, sick, or severely injured, yet lived for years after their injuries. Consider the famous Old Man of Shanidar. This was a Neanderthal skeleton found in a cave in Iraq. He lived maybe 45,000 years ago. His bones tell a rough story. He had a crushing blow to the side of his head when he was young, which likely blinded him in one eye and may have damaged his brain. His right arm was withered and had been amputated above the elbow. He was also partially deaf. And he had arthritis so bad he would have walked with a painful limp. In the brutal world of the Ice Age, a man in this condition should have been dead. He couldn't hunt effectively. He couldn't defend himself well. He would have been slow, a liability to the group. Yet, he lived to be around 40 or 50 years old. That was a ripe old age back then. How did he survive? There's only one possible answer: someone took care of him. Someone fed him when he couldn't get food for himself. Someone protected him from predators. Someone probably chewed his food for him as his teeth were worn down to the gums. This wasn't just a one-time act of kindness. This was years, maybe decades, of sustained care. Why would they do that? He wasn't contributing much in a practical sense. It would have been a drain on the group's resources. The most logical explanation is that he mattered to them. He had a social bond with them. They weren't just a group. They were a community. They were, in some fundamental way, his friends. And there are other examples. A skeleton from a site in France called La Chapelle aux Saints, another Neanderthal, was old and had crippling arthritis and no teeth. He too must have been cared for. We see evidence of healed fractures and severe injuries in many early human fossils. These individuals were not left behind to die, they were helped. This consistent pattern of care for the vulnerable is a powerful sign. It points to empathy. It points to long-term bonds that went beyond simple transactional cooperation. It hints at a social world where individuals had value beyond their immediate usefulness. The next clue comes from our living relatives. We can look at chimpanzees and bonobos. We share a common ancestor with them that lived about 6 or 7 million years ago. If we see complex social behaviors in them, it's a good bet that the basic building blocks for those behaviors were present in our shared ancestor, and therefore in the first humans. And what we see in chimps is fascinating. They absolutely have what we would call friendships. As primatologists have watched them for decades, they see that certain individuals form very close, long-term bonds. They spend most of their time together. They groom each other constantly. Grooming isn't just about picking out bugs. It's a social currency. It builds and maintains relationships. It's calming. It's a way of saying, I trust you. You are my ally. These chimp friends support each other in fights. If one gets into a conflict over food or status, his friend will often jump in to help. They share food, especially prized meat, after a hunt, but not with everyone. They share it with their allies. They even seem to console each other. If a chimp loses a fight and is sitting alone, looking dejected, its friend will often come over, put an arm around it, and groom it gently. This is not for any immediate benefit. It looks exactly like comforting a friend who has had a bad day. These relationships are not random. They are stable over many years, and they are not just based on kinship. While chimps are close with their mothers and siblings, they also form these powerful alliances with unrelated individuals. They are choosing their friends. They are navigating a complex social world of alliances, rivalries, and favors owed. If our ape cousins are capable of this, it's almost certain that early hominins like Australopithecus or Homo habilis were too. Their world was just as challenging, their need for allies just as great. The social software for friendship was likely running long before our brains got as big as they are now. That brings us to the brain itself. Our brains are ridiculously big. A human brain uses about 20% of our body's energy, even though it's only about 2% of our body weight. That's incredibly expensive from an evolutionary point of view. There must have been a very good reason for nature to select for such a costly organ. For a long time, people thought it was for tool making or problem solving, like figuring out how to hunt a mammoth. But a theory called the social brain hypothesis offers a different explanation. It suggests our brains grew big primarily to deal with other people. Living in a large group is mentally demanding. You need to keep track of a lot of information. Who is related to who is allied with who is angry with who owes me a favor, who is trustworthy, who is a cheat. Managing this web of relationships is a massive computational task. The theory proposed by anthropologist Robin Dunbar is that the size of a primate's neocortex, the thinking part of the brain, is directly related to the size of the social group it can handle. For humans, our brain size suggests a natural group size of about 150 people. This is now known as Dunbar's number. It's the number of people you can know and keep track of in a meaningful social way. But you can't have a deep, meaningful relationship with all 150 of them. It's impossible. Instead, our social world is layered. We have an inner circle of very close intimates, maybe about 5 people. Then a slightly larger circle of good friends, about 15. Then more layers all the way out to 150. Those inner circles are held together by friendship. In a small group of primates, a leader can maintain order through physical dominance and constant monitoring. But in a group of 150, that's impossible. You can't see what everyone is doing all the time. The group would fall apart into chaos and conflict. The glue that holds these larger human groups together is voluntary alliances. It's friendship. You need trusted allies who will have your back even when you're not looking. Our big brains didn't just evolve to make spears. They evolved to make friends. They are social processors designed to navigate the complexities of long-term relationships. This suggests that as our brains grew bigger throughout our evolutionary history, so did the importance and complexity of our friendships. And it's not just the size of the brain, it's the chemistry inside it. Our brains are flooded with chemicals that reward social connection. When you spend time with a good friend, when you share a laugh, or a meal, or a meaningful conversation, your brain releases a cocktail of hormones that makes you feel good. Oxytocin is a big one. It's often called the love hormone or bonding hormone. It promotes feelings of trust, empathy, and connection. It's released when a mother bonds with her baby, but it's also released during positive social interactions between friends. It's the biological mechanism of trust. Then there are endorphins. These are our body's natural painkillers. They produce a feeling of mild euphoria. In primates, endorphins are released during grooming. It feels good to be groomed, and that feeling reinforces the social bond. Humans don't groom each other much anymore, but we have found other ways to get that endorphin hit together. Laughing together triggers endorphin release. So does singing, dancing, and telling stories. These are all deeply social, communal activities. They are things we do with friends. That feeling of warmth and connection you get when you're with people you care about is not just a poetic idea. It's a neurochemical event that has been shaped by millions of years of evolution to make us want to stick together. This chemical machinery is ancient. It was almost certainly present in our early human ancestors, making their social bonds feel just as good and as important as ours do. So, we have evidence from bones, from our primate cousins, and from our own brains and biology. But the most powerful argument for friendship in early humans is the simple logic of survival. Friendship wasn't just a nice emotional bonus, it was a crucial survival strategy. The world our ancestors lived in was harsh and unpredictable. Having friends could be the difference between life and death. Think about food. Early humans were hunter-gatherers. Hunting is a high-risk, high-reward activity. Some days you might bring down a large animal and have more meat than you and your family can eat before it spoils. Many other days, you will come back with nothing. This creates a problem of boom and bust. Friendship is the solution. It's a system of social insurance. If I have a successful hunt today, I share my meat with you. I don't do it just because I'm a nice guy. I do it because I trust that when you have a successful hunt next week and you will share with me. This kind of reciprocal altruism smooths out the unpredictable food supply. It ensures that everyone eats more regularly. It only works if you have stable, long-term trusting relationships. You need to know who you can count on. You need friends. Friendship is also vital for defense. An individual human is not that impressive. We're not particularly fast, we don't have sharp claws or big teeth. Our strength is in our numbers and our ability to cooperate. A group of friends can defend against a predator like a saber-toothed cat far more effectively than a lone individual. They can also defend the group's resources, like a waterhole or a good patch of fruit trees, from rival groups of humans. In a world of constant threats, having a small band of trusted allies who would fight alongside you was essential. Then there's the sharing of knowledge. Survival depended on a vast amount of information. Where can you find water during the dry season? Which plants are edible and which are poisonous? How do you make a good stone tool? How do you track a certain animal? This knowledge was not written down. It was passed from person to person. A good friend is a good source of information. You trust the information they give you and you share what you know in return. This pooling of knowledge made the entire group smarter and more adaptable. And think about childcare. Human babies are born completely helpless and remain dependent for a very long time. It's incredibly difficult for a single mother to provide food and protection for herself and her child. In many modern hunter-gatherer societies, we see something called alloparenting, which means other parenting. It's when individuals other than the parents help to care for and provide for the children. A mother's close friends could help watch a child while she gathered food, or share their food with her and her baby. This support network dramatically increased the child's chances of survival. Having friends didn't just help you survive, it helped you pass on your genes. From an evolutionary perspective, that's the ultimate prize. Finally, friendship may have helped our ancestors manage stress. Living in a dangerous world is stressful. Constantly being on alert for predators or rivals floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol. In the short term, this is helpful. It gets you ready to fight or run. But chronic, long-term stress is terrible for your health. It weakens your immune system and damages your body. We know from studies of both humans and other primates that having strong social support acts as a powerful buffer against stress. Being around trusted friends lowers cortisol levels. It makes you feel safer. It literally makes you healthier. Friendship was a form of prehistoric medicine. So let's try to imagine it. Let's try to step back in time maybe 500,000 years ago. Imagine two early humans. Let's call them by names they never had. Let's call them Cor and Bell. They are not brothers. They were born to different mothers, but they grew up together. They played together as children, learning to throw rocks and track lizards. Now they are young men. They hunt together. Cor is quick and has sharp eyes. He's good at spotting game. Bell is stronger and has more patience. He's better at the final stalk and the kill. Together, they are a better hunter than either of them is alone. When they bring down an antelope, they share the meat with their families, but they always make sure the other has a good piece. This is their bond. One day, while trying to get honey from a bee's nest on a cliff, Cor slips. He falls and breaks his leg badly. It's a terrible injury. He can't walk. He can't hunt. In the cold calculus of survival, he is a burden. But Bell doesn't leave him. He helps carry Cor back to their camp. For weeks, while Cor's leg is healing, Bell brings him food. He brings him water. He helps protect him from hyenas that might sneak into camp at night. Other members of the group help too, but Bell is the one who is always there. He sits with Cor by the fire, communicating not with complex language, but with grunts and gestures and the simple comfort of presence. Why does Bell do this? There is no immediate payoff, it's extra work for him. It's a risk, but Cor is his friend. He's part of his inner circle. Bell is acting on an impulse that has been programmed into him by millions of years of evolution. The impulse to help an ally. He is maintaining a social investment. He knows, perhaps not in a conscious calculating way, but in a deep instinctual way, that one day he might be the one with the broken leg, and he will need Cor. Their bond is their strength. It makes them both more likely to survive, to have children, and to see those children grow up. Their friendship is as real and as vital a tool as the stone axe in Bell's hand. This little story is speculation, of course. We can never know the details. We can never know their names or the exact nature of their conversations around the fire. But the underlying dynamics are not speculation, they are based on all the evidence we have. The fossils that show care, the behavior of our primate kin, the architecture of our brains, the chemistry of our emotions, and the cold, hard logic of natural selection. All these lines of evidence point in the same direction. Friendship is not a recent invention. It's not a product of civilization. It's older than our species, Homo sapiens. It is a fundamental part of our evolutionary heritage. Our ancestors survived because they learned to cooperate in ways no other animal could. They built complex social networks based not just on blood, but on choice and trust. They formed friendships. These bonds allowed them to share food, defend each other, raise their children, and navigate an incredibly dangerous world. When we feel a deep connection with a friend, we are not just experiencing a modern emotion. We are feeling the echo of a survival strategy that is hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of years old. We are tapping into the same ancient brain circuits and chemical rewards that helped a Neanderthal care for his injured friend in a cold cave. The need for connection, the comfort of having someone who has your back, the simple joy of sharing a laugh with a person you trust. These are not trivial things. They are the very things that help make us human in the first place. The first humans didn't just have friends. They had to have them. They wouldn't be our ancestors without them.